What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of You Gonna Learn Something Today, bitch. uh, so last week we went over EQ basics, and we're gonna be working on the same project, but this week we are working on compression. Compressor. Probably EQ and compression are by far the most important things you need to learn when it comes to mixing. No doubt. Because the rest is kind of flavor. But getting it sounding really nice and solid, you're gonna want to have a good handle on EQ and compression. Okay, so how we're gonna break it down today. We're going to look at the anatomy of a compressor, what each different part does, each different knob, different uses, different applications of a compressor, when not to use it. Also, we'll cover sidechain compression, and I'll give you a couple of my favorites, maybe some tips and tricks along the way. A couple of my favorite free compressors. Fuck it. Let's jump into it. This is our bog standard Logic compressor. So we'll do our work with this. First thing that I always do with this compressor, just as a little tip, turn off the fucking auto gain and the auto release. No thank you. They do not do a good job at it. What I like to think about a compressor is how I was explained it in uni, how an optical compressor works. So there's all different types, but one of them is an optical. How a hardware optical compressor works is basically a split of the signal is sent to an actual to an optical fiber or a light. You use that amount of light to determine how much gain to take down. So if a loud piece of audio is coming in, the light will be super bright. The sensor will then be like, okay, let's bring down that main thing a lot. But if it only goes on a little bit, it's like, okay, we'll just bring it down a little bit. That's how they get that variable compression. I don't know if that'll work for y'all, but that's the way I like to think about it. All of these are basically just to control how that light reacts or how it's sensed. I'm really going off a deep end if this does not work for y'all. But this threshold here is at what brightness, at what level the signal start to get reduced. And then our ratio is how hard is it going to reduce that. So down here, we got 1.1. That's a 1-to-1. That's a 1-to-1. But then we can go up and get more extreme, 30 times. So that means it's going to be 30 times more aggressive with its reduction. Makeup is just adding any gain that you've lost. That's why I like to turn this auto gain off, because then you can hear it properly. The knee, I like to think of it as like, and it's not on everything. I like to think of it as almost like an anti-high ratio. High knee will make it softer. Our attack is, okay, when that light turns on, when the signal goes through and that bright light pumps, how long does it take for our sensor to react for us to start reducing the gain? You may not want that straight away, because sometimes that takes some life out of it if you have our attack too far. 0 milliseconds, that's going to be as soon as something's coming through, boom, reduced. 200 milliseconds, soon as it comes through, as soon as that bright light hits, then it will take 200 milliseconds to react. And our release is kind of that, but for the tail end. It's how long, once it's grabbed on, once it's holding on to that signal, keeping it down, how long does it take to let go? 5 milliseconds. That means as soon as that light turns off, boom, it's no longer reducing. But if we got to 5K, 5,000 milliseconds, that means that it will take 5,000 milliseconds for the compressor to stop compressing. once it's supposed to. And that's why I like to turn the auto off as well. And on Logic, it's actually really cool because on the standard one, you get all these different versions. So you see here, vintage outta. I guess after that rundown, let's just jump into it. If y'all got any questions, make sure you hit me up down below in the comments. I'll steer you right. Let's start. Okay, let's start. I'll put our ratio a bit higher because I like that smacking a bit more. The knee all the way down, and now what we want to do is put our release as short as possible and our attack as long as possible. And basically what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to our drum track, and then we're going to dial in that attack and release. And what you want to do first is just to listen to it. This is not going to be our final level, but I want to bring that threshold down so it's really smacking. I want this to be reducing a lot so we can really hear our timing for our attack and release. Something like that. Yeah, even bring it down 20. Okay. So we can see it's moving really fast. And basically we want to listen. We want to listen in to our drums. And we're gonna do our attack first. So if I bring this all the way down, it's all gone. So basically you want to bring this in. Yeah, okay, so I really want that smack. We're getting that. So now what I'm going to do is bring this release back. See that fucks us up too if that's too long. Okay, so we've got that dialed in now. 97 milliseconds on the release and 125. Maybe let's bring that up. 140. Okay, so we're gonna bring our threshold back up. And I actually like to go with drums. I like to go a little bit aggressive. Without. Listen to that snare. Listen into the snare. Woo! Now I think it might be taking a bit too much off the kick. So let's bring it back a little bit. Now let's hear it in situ. So let's see what we can do for these. Let's put a compressor here on our bass. So what I want from this is I want a real squeeze on the bass. So actually, I'm going to put this ratio up higher. Let's put it at 10. And we'll bring our threshold down again to dial it in. And I want that squeeze to be fairly continuous. Boom. 330. So you can see how it acts differently when we have our different attack and release settings. See how it's sitting. If you close your eyes, listen. Right now. Hear it more on the drums, hey. It's funny how that works. But look at how these needles are reacting so differently. That's all about what dialing in compressor. And again, use your fucking ears. Moving on to sidechain compression. Okay, so we're going to chuck a sidechain compressor on this one. So that light I was talking about with the optic wall, instead of that reacting to the input gain, the input signal that you're putting in, you can change what signal goes into there. So instead we can put a kit that's not getting any information from the synth. Basically, you're taking the volume and the dynamics and stuff from something else and using it to affect the compressor. Sidechain. Drum loop. So if we play our drum loop, boom. So for these, I'll go extreme again so we can dial it in. Exactly what we want. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring these. To a slightly more reasonable level. You can hear it so much better. And lastly, for a sound like, if you're trying to go for a really specific sound, light, airy, ethereal sort of things like this, I really strongly believe in not compressing. Background elements, that kind of stuff. Not compressing shit that you don't have to. That's my lesson on compressors. I hope it's helpful. Once again, I'm just going to share a couple of my favorite free compressors. By Klanghelm, the MJ UCR Junior. It's just a real good flavor compressor. Buster SE by Analog Obsession. So it's based on the SSL, I believe G compressor, or if not, like just the SSL bus compressor. So nice, real clean. I chuck this on every single master bus that I have. Here's another one, Analog Obsession, with another banger. The La. So this is based on the LA2A compressor. Legendary. Thank you for watching another episode of You Gon' Learn Today. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you'll think about the series if you like it. Woo!